A lot of stuff gets sent to me. That is the reality of my life, that I am just going to be inundated. I am going to be avalanched with stuff, okay? Sometimes I have the opportunity to look behind the headline that is provided to me. Where are you going? That is provided to me, okay? In this case, I was able to actually look behind that headline and find a magical story of relegation survival that rivals, Leicester City, Sunderland, these great relegation escapes. One of the greatest that I've ever seen. And it comes from the Japanese second division, and it was crowned by this tweet that was sent to me, which is Kataller Toyama were about to be relegated from Japan's second tier on goal difference, but step up 18-year-old Ayumu Kameda, who goes on a mazy run and scores his first ever pro goal and saves his team from the drop. Right? And it's a great goal. And we'll watch it at the appropriate time in the timeline, mind you. But I was curious, like, oh, okay, they're about to get relegated on goal difference. Was this a failure? Were they bottling it until this goal happened? Or was this some sort of miraculous escape? And when I tell you, I was so glad I looked this up. Because if you go to Transfermarkt and you look at the table after match day 34, there are 38 matches over the course of the second Japanese league season. As of course, I'm sure that you already knew that. I'm just filling you in anyways. You find Kataller Toyama at 27 points after 34 matches. They had 6 wins in 34 matches. The entire season, they had put together 6 wins. They are 8 points behind Royasu Kumamoto with 4 matches to play. Not to mention, their goal difference is obviously 8 off. So you don't need to just win. A couple of 1-0 wins isn't going to be able to cover this either, as long as Royasu Kumamoto's getting some results. Okay, Kataller Toyama is way out of it at this point. But I already spoiled the ending because you know that they're going to go up. So what the hell happened? Well, obviously I sat there and figured it out, and now I'm going to so gather around the campfire, and I'm going to tell you a story. All right, and the story starts with a match between Toyama and Ehime. Okay, and this is, by the way, the only team, when you look at the table right now, that is below them. So if you are an optimist, if you're an eternal Kataller Toyama truther, if you're a born and raised Kataller Toyama fan in the second Japanese league, all of your optimism on being able to get, back above the relegation line is tied to the fact that you are playing the one team. Based off of everything that's happened in the league so far this season, you are playing the one team that you should be able to beat. The one team. That's who you're playing today. The one team you should be able to beat. And that team, you don't beat. In fact, you go behind at home in the first half. 37-minute goal by Ishio. And then you go all the way down. Look at that. They drew the match, sure, in a 93rd minute equalizer from Fukazawa. Little did they know how important that goal would turn out to be against Ehime, but now you have scratched a draw against the worst team in the league. Where is your optimism now? You've got 3 matches left over the course of the season. It's after match day 35. I'll pull up the table for you. Obviously, some good stuff happened. You gained a point on the escape from the relegation zone. You're only 7 points out with 3 matches to play, but you just drew the one team that's worse than you in the entire league. So you're not exactly feeling great about this whole situation. And you did it with a 93rd minute goal from Fukazawa, which at the time must have felt stupid and pointless if you didn't add another goal behind it. Obviously ends up making all the difference. The next match is at home against Sagan Tosu. Sagan Tosu, a team that ended up finishing 8th in the league in the entire season. So this was a big surprise. This is where the corner is turned by Toyama. First half goal, up 1-0. 2 more goals in the second half. All of a sudden, a 3-0 win. This is the moment where Toyama starts to believe. This is where the sun rises in the east again. Toyama is now added to its goal difference. I love this little tool that we have available on Transfermarkt. They've padded their goal difference a little bit. They are still, of course, in 19th position, but now because Royasu Kumamoto has lost again, Kataller Toyama is only 4 points away from the drop with 2 matches remaining. Now, because of what everybody else is doing, if Royasu Kumamoto manages to win one of its final 2 matches, relegation is guaranteed. Kataller Toyama cannot survive if Ryosu Kumamoto wins one of its final two matches, but it is at least close that goal difference down. Thanks to a couple of losses for Kumamoto and the 3-0 win, they are only behind 3 on goal difference, which means if they are going to do this on points, they're probably going to catch up on the goal difference as well. The second to last match. Look at this. On the road against Kofu. Kofu, another team that's obviously better than them, a team that ended up finishing 13th in the league. 0-0 to the 95th minute. Remember, they scored in the 93rd minute to draw the worst team in the league 2 matches ago. They have that comfortable blowout 3-0 win at home. Now on the road in the 95th minute, Kagawa scores. A match that they literally have to win. Because at the same time that this is going down, Kumamoto is scratching its own draw against Ehime, the worst team in the league, who apparently is playing way better than they were for most of the season. Ehime is at home against Kumamoto. Kumamoto scores in the 2nd minute. So for an entire half of football, Toyama is thinking the season's over. Kumamoto's winning. They're playing Ehime. If Kumamoto wins this match, it's over. They have no chance of avoiding relegation. Ehime scores right before halftime, holds on for the rest of the match. It's actually pretty close statistically. I don't know what the hell Kumamoto was doing. But this ends in a 1-1 draw. If at any point Kumamoto scored a second goal, the entire season is over for Toyama. And for the entirety of this match, Toyama looks like they're going to be set for a draw here. Which again, because Kumamoto is drawing, that would keep Kumamoto 4 points ahead of them going into the final match day, which means there is no chance for Toyama. None. 0. Until this 95th minute goal by Kagawa, at which point Kumamoto must have been sitting there thinking these guys will not die. Of course, they also needed Yamaguchi to underperform, but the good news for them is Yamaguchi was underperforming. Yamaguchi only got a draw. Yamaguchi was also still alive going into the final match day with a win and a Kumamoto loss. Yamaguchi could jump up there as long as Toyama didn't win as well. With Toyama's win, they were 2 points behind Kumamoto, which means once again, Kumamoto cannot win on the final match day, and Kataller Toyama has to win on the final match day. Kataller Toyama's opponent on this final match day was a team called Blau Blitz. Blau Blitz was pretty, not good this season. They didn't get relegated or anything. But still, Blau Blitz is not one of the teams in the relegation battle. That's going to make it a little harder. Kumamoto is playing Kofu, one of the teams that we've already seen Toyama play. And we go into the final match day with the standings thus. Also, Kumamoto, of course, with the goal difference advantage of 2 and 11 more goals for. Which means that if Kataller Toyama wins by 2 and Kumamoto draws, they'd both be on 37 points. Minus 16 goal difference. And Kumamoto would have more goals for and stay in the league. So even though that ridiculous gap with 3 matches to play has been devoured by Kataller Toyama with 2 consecutive wins, including that dramatic last-second win, Kumamoto's still got to be feeling good. I mean, Kataller Toyama is just unkillable, right? For some reason, they won't go away. They've put together 33% of the win. They put together 25% of the wins they've had in the entire season in the last 2 matches. Surely they're not going to win again. Well, that's, of course, what's going down in the first half. At halftime, Toyama and Blau Blitz are 0-0. No goals. Remember, Toyama needs to win by multiple. And at the same time, Kumamoto, despite kind of being the better team, is also 0-0 at halftime. So they're drawing, and even with 2 goals for Toyama, Kumamoto is still good. As long as they don't allow a goal from Kofu, they're good. I don't even blame Kumamoto on that strategy here. Not that that was necessarily their strategy. I obviously have not watched this match. But if you're defense first, make sure Kofu doesn't score. Toyama's got to win by 3. When is Toyama going to win by 3? I mean, look, I'm going to break this one down for you. Toyama, over the course of the entire season, including cup competitions, right? Various cup competitions where they're playing other teams, has not won a match by 3 goals the entire time. They haven't. They haven't won a match by 3 goals the entire season. There isn't one. They've lost a few, by 3 goals. There you go. Their last win by 3 goals was on August 24th, 2024 against a club called Yamaga. And they beat Ryukyu by 3 goals a month before that in 2024. It had been over a year. That includes friendlies, by the way, that they had won a match by 3 goals. And that's what they needed to do if Kofu doesn't score. So Kumamoto's still feeling good. And then all of a sudden, Toyama gets a penalty. 53rd minute. Furukawa slots the penalty home. And it's 1-0 Toyama. Kumamoto's still sitting pretty. Right? They need 2 more goals from Toyama to knock them out of safety in the second Japanese league. And then in the 60th minute, Fuseya scores. Toyama is up 2-0 against Blaubeats. They're feeling good. And then, they're chasing it. They've got their chance. Blaubeats scores. And by everybody's estimation, that should be it. We are looking at a club coming into this match with 30 goals in 37 matches. This is not a club that has scored easily at any point in this entire season. Surely they would have had to win 3-0. But now it's 2-1. Blaubeats has scored a goal. Kumamoto's considering donations to various Blaubeatsian charities. And then in the 89th minute, a guy named Sheena scores a goal to put them up 3-1. And all of a sudden, this happens so quickly. Kumamoto's sitting here going, wait, it's the 89th minute. Okay, we're cruising into this. We're cruising into a 0-0. Of course, if Kofu does score a goal, that knocks Kumamoto out because they would lose and then it would be a 1-point advantage for Toyama. So Kumamoto doesn't want to go for this too much because if Kofu scores, they're just out anyways. So in the 89th minute, Toyama scores a goal to make it 3-1. They are now tied on goal difference, tied on points. But Kumamoto has more goals for until the moment that I got linked. The 18-year-old, by the way, Japan's growing these guys on trees. Ayumu Kameda, 18-year-old anime freaking hero, spawns in and scores this goal. And it is a beaut. In the 93rd minute to put them ahead on goals for. Here you go. Listen to the crowd pop. Listen to the call. This is football, baby. This is soccer. This is Japan. This is the Japanese second division with a deep, guttural crowd roar on a relegation dodging goal to complete this unbelievable turnaround. And I think this is just a great example, particularly for the people from Europe and South America, mostly Europe, that maybe don't think about these leagues in these countries, right? Like Japan, that have, these leagues were created less than 30 years ago. But the level of, emotional investment and just the general level of it overall is awesome. And this is where, the Japanese national team is coming from, where their incredible rise to back-to-back World Cup knockouts and all of a sudden just, in my opinion, the best team outside of Europe and South America at the moment is Morocco or Japan. And this is where these Japanese players are coming from. There are great leagues outside of Europe and even South America that are capable of producing these moments. Also, the MLS Cup Finals on Saturday, and that's going to be a lot of fun. But that is not the point. The point is, this was a remarkable relegation escape by your new favorite team, Kataller Toyama. They have stayed in the Japanese second league. New FM save? New FM save.